I had organized everything around going to Egypt: my business, my YouTube content, my money, responsibilities at home, even things other people depended on me for. And then the trip was postponed. Now, for a second, maybe a minute, I looked at all the work I had done and thought, okay, did I just waste all of that time? But once I started looking at what was actually sitting in front of me, I realized I was asking the wrong question. So, the strange part is that by the time I found out, in my mind, I was already going. Now, I had already planned, I had already departed basically, because this was so important to me. This was in the making for a year. And I wasn't saying someday I'll go, I was going. My calendar had changed. The decisions that I made around leaving, my attention had shifted towards the trip. And then my timeline just disappeared. So, what I was feeling when I found out was, this is not right. This is not real. Am I dreaming about this? Am I having like some second thoughts? I still wasn't fully convinced that it was, because still in my mind, I was on that plane, you know? It took a little bit. And then I was like, I spent a lot of time getting ready. And then it's just gone. Like, it just didn't make sense to me. Tears flowed, anger, frustration, just a lot of different emotions came up for me. I was disappointed. I had been looking forward to this for a while. I prepared myself mentally, everything to go. And that's when I realized this wasn't just about a suitcase or a vacation. I had rearranged a surprising amount of my actual life. That's still something just to kind of like, you're taken aback, because it was a lot of life decisions to get to this point. So, of course, my money. I went into all the things. I prepared my business, working around organizing the next steps and how that would affect the transition of my business. Just not being available, making sure I had things in place, right? So things could continue to operate as though I was still here. I actually started this a while ago, putting content out on YouTube back in March. And so I started with most of the shorts. And then I added, of course, some posts and a few long form, but I started being committed to putting long form content out every day. And there's a challenge that's starting in a few days, but I wanted to start early because I had already decided I was going to do that. So I was like, oh, that's a good challenge. But I already actually started my own challenge within, then, saying, okay, that'll be something that can hold me accountable. And so I started planning my content because I was like, what if something happens and I'm not able to put out my 30 minutes? unexpected things, excursions, going to see different monuments, the museum, all the things. So I went ahead and created my content through September 14th, all of it. Switched outfits and everything. Cut my hair. Because, new thing. You're like, oh, and I was already looking at my locks. I've been growing locks for a while. And I'm like, let me chop it off some because I'd already start trimming a little bit and just, start fresh. So had my new style going on, all the things, and it was a lot of content. A lot of content. Personal responsibilities at home, just making sure people had everything they need, those that were not going, and making sure things were automated. My bills automated. Everything could function and can function without me physically being there. There were maybe a couple of things still. I was just like, okay, let me just make sure I have that done before I leave. But for the most part, everything was automated or is automated. And then things that were really dependent on me, people that were dependent on me, making sure they were taken care of. So portability, making sure my whole life things are portable. Like I don't have to physically be here. That's the whole premise of my thinking. This is my test. This is what I'm doing. So portability is also about whether you're building your life so everything doesn't stop because you're unavailable. And that was my plan, right? Technology-wise, cleaning out my phone. I cleaned out my phone. Over 3,000 screenshots and photos and just quotes and all types of things. I made room for my travel footage. I prepared my camera storage accordingly. And then because I knew I would want to document everything, and I wanted the amount of space to be able to do that with not being concerned about, oh my gosh, should I go ahead and take my laptop so I can hurry up and upload things to my laptop faster? I bought what I needed, all my toiletry items, my planned outfits, took a little few pictures to see, let's match up this. What else could I get that I don't already have that could, kind of switch and change it, coordinate, making sure I had all the things. And then, of course, I mentioned chopping. Like over time this year, I think I've chopped over 12 inches, at least a foot of just, getting that detailed growth, fresh growth going on with my locks. Saving money, making sure different monies were allocated to what I needed to allocate for, making sure I had enough to actually enjoy the trip and buy things that I wanted to buy. So I'm sure there's more that I did, but just thinking now, it was a lot. I did a lot to prepare for the trip. I didn't just say I wanted something. I reorganized my life to make room for it. I reorganized my life to make room for this trip. Because there's a difference between wanting a goal and structuring your resources around the goal. And when I looked at everything, when I looked at it that way, I realized Egypt may not have been the only thing I had been preparing for. Think about a business. When you run a one-person business, when the owner isn't there, isn't available, what stops? Think about what are the things that stop if it's just one person? Like say you're in a brick and mortar company and if it's one person just running that store and they have to go take a break. I've seen that a lot close to where I live. You want to go to the crystal store or the other little boutique and there's only one person there. There's a note on the door that I'll be back. Think about what changes when you need something and that person is not available. What happens? Will they come back? um, So, what do you need to organize because you couldn't assume you were sitting at your desk? That is a question I have for myself. Because I was thinking about that before I started just creating the content. I'm like, okay, what else do I need to make sure I need to do? Oh, I need to create my videos. That was like one of the first things, because if I can't create it if I'm not going to take my laptop, make sure I have my phone, but what if I lose a connection, or just thinking about through all those things, I need to prepare in advance, right? I need to batch some things, okay? So I know I needed to batch. So I batched that content for my YouTube and making sure I scheduled, making sure everything was created, the thumbnails, the timing, everything. I made sure that I had everything I needed. Okay, so what do I want to talk about? And then plan accordingly. Make sure I have a system in place, right? What could wait? What couldn't wait? Knowing that, okay, if I'm doing everything manually, if something happens, I can't do that. So having that in mind always, making sure no matter what, beyond this trip, that my life can be portable, my business can be portable, where I can be able to still create and no ball is dropped, right? What I'm discovering is I'm further along than I thought. And I now know what matters. I know what systems need to be in place through all of this. Now it's like I know, right? So, I was protecting against uncertainty. That's the bottom line. So when you think about uncertainty, like the internet issues, everything where I live, for the most part, we have no problems with our internet services. You know, sometimes there's a lag, but going to a different country, you don't know exactly the process. I saw that when I was in Kigali. There was a different process with the internet situation. So we had to work that out because I actually was working with my laptop. I was working for a coaching company and I needed to do my consult calls and I needed great internet service. So things like the internet, and didn't know how exhausted I would be from walking. I was told there was a lot of walking. I did some research. It's a lot of walking. So if I'm like depleted at the end of the day, would I feel like creating the video? Maybe if I planned it in advance, but you never know what was happening. I might wanted to sit by something, go to get some street food one night and just hang out. So the timing too, with the time zone, 7 hours ahead, would I actually feel like it, or just in the mindset is just, what I want to do all that. I'm on vacay. Would I really want to have the same work ethic on as I'm looking at these pyramids, as I'm looking at the pyramid view? Would I still want to be in that same mindset as I would here in the States, right? But then looking, okay, I'm building long form content. I want to see the clicks. I want to see if the titles worked, if the thumbnails worked, how many views I have, where do people land, what caused them to leave, what got comments, what didn't get comments, what earned subscribers, what is the audience saying about this content. A lot of things have been surfacing in the last, since I found out. Just like, okay. But guess what? I proved I can produce content far ahead when I need to. But I don't think that's the best way for me to build this channel right now. And it's not being inconsistent. It's just really thinking about how I want to flow with that. That was a lot. That was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot. I need enough structure, though, to give me freedom and enough flexibility to respond to what I'm learning. Because I'm developing this channel in real time. I'm documenting my journey and I'm learning how I want this to work and how I want to show up as someone over 40 and others that are reclaiming their time, their talent, their energy, and rediscovering what their next chapter might look like. So if you're just tuning in and seeing in real time just all the emotions and things that I'm going through with building a channel and working on my business and showing up, learning how to show up, this is at the Midlife Time Traveler. I invite you to subscribe. We are learning and we're in this together. And this, of course, this episode is a little different because it's still very emotional and just trying to stay focused and work through everything. But it's being worked through in real time. This is not exactly how I wanted this video to go. This is not, but here we are. Here we are, and we are flowing through. Oh, what happened to the money? Money. Because I'm thinking now, should I spend the rest of this money? Wow. Should I spend my feelings away? So money can sometimes feel available when the immediate expenses disappear. Like, I got it. The temptation to reward ourselves after the disappointment, which I did. I did do a little something. I bought me some flowers. I did buy me some flowers, put it in my little jar. I bought these yesterday. And I bought my favorite chips from Trader Joe's. So I did. That's my splurge. That's my splurge. I got my chips. Just eats my feelings. But it's some good chips. The ghost pepper chips from Trader Joe's. Those are so delicious. And I haven't had those, I don't even know, in months. It may have been the beginning of the year or last year. So I did do that. But overall, I learned, okay, I'm going to be more intentional about my emergency fund. I'm not going to go wild with that. I'm still going to be intentional about what I'm doing. But of course, being able to enjoy some flowers and my ghost pepper chips. So even just waiting for the change, when will we be able to go? That's still to be determined. And I will let you know as soon as everything is worked out with that. So I learned that a delayed goal doesn't automatically turn my goal money into spending money. It does not. It does not. So I like flowers. And so that when you're working through some disappointment, the temptation is to go just bananas. Just go, I'm going to spend all this stuff and I'm going to eat this, eat that. But I know learning from experience, that's not, I look how far I've come and that's not where I want to be anymore. So I did see some pretty flowers because Trader Joe's have some beautiful flowers. And I looked for, these are called dianthus. Dianthus, I think they're a form of a carnation or something. Um, but I know I like flowers. So I was like, I'm going to buy me some flowers. Oh, yeah, buy myself flowers. Every time. Since that song came out, I think about that. So I think that song was like an encouragement again for me because I had stopped buying myself flowers. And I was like, I'm going to start buying myself flowers again. So I did do that. And then I decided to, since I wasn't going now, we have little allocations in my September food budget. I was like, let me go ahead and take care of that because I was going to be gone and wasn't even thinking about that. Let me go ahead and take care of that. And it's time for me to restock. And so I was like, I haven't been to Trader Joe's. This is not an advertisement for Trader Joe's. I'm just sharing. And let me go ahead and, I haven't been there in a while. Let me go ahead and buy some things from there. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to buy me some flowers. And then I'm going to buy me some chips. And let that be. Let me stay as much on my budget as I can. And I'm not spending everything. So I am responsible, therefore I can enjoy everything. So being more responsible, that's part of reclaiming things, knowing that I can use my time and energy to remember why I'm on this journey. And I can enjoy some things without going crazy. Okay? So this unexpected time, I'm not filling my calendar with so many different projects, but I did realize some things that I did around the house, like touching up some paint, things like that. So I'm not overhauling my schedule with all the things, but the few things that I've been putting off, I was like, okay, I can section off a day or two to actually do those things now and not try to fill my plate with other things. I've told some people that I was not available till January. I thought I was going to be gone until then. But, some different things are coming up anyways. And so still, I'm not overhauling my schedule with lots of super planning of other things where I'm leaving what's on my schedule on there. And then my little projects around making sure my house stays in order. I'm going to, make sure those are taken care of. But I am going to make sure I take notice of what I've done on YouTube. And all is not lost. All is not lost. So just because the time came back to me doesn't mean I have to immediately give it away again. You see that? The silence. There's a lesson to be learned in the lesson. We are learning, we are growing. We don't have to immediately hand over everything just because our space becomes open. I did say no to something because I was going on the trip and I'm still saying no. I'm not refilling that, going back. We have to allow ourselves time to have that space. Even when things change, we don't have to go back and backtrack. Look at it as a learning experience. And it is, I have my little notes, it's like a little grieving period because this is like a spiritual journey too. I don't talk a lot about that. I haven't talked a lot about that. But learning about things in history and where you come from and connecting dots, that becomes real. So it's a lot of different emotions behind this trip. So I'm still looking forward to see the next steps from this and what's panning out through this as we walk through this, and the reconnections, possible reconnections later, we shall see. I can know the trip is postponed and still be disappointed that I'm not going when I thought I was. Yeah. Maybe some content never gets published. It's a lot of content. Oh, maybe some preparation will have to be repeated or repurposed or repurchased later. But some of the preparation not being useful is not the same thing as all the preparation being wasted. Because I learned a lot about myself. I have courage. I communicate better every day. I am worthy. I am useful. So what's true right now? The trip isn't happening on the original timeline. That's true. What still matters? The trip itself. The business, my finances, my well-being, my responsibilities. What requires a decision now? Content that no longer makes sense. So there's content that no longer makes sense. So I hid the content. It's now private because it no longer makes sense based on what I planned to be away. The last few days leading up, these are like this video right here was supposed to be something different. So I had to put that to the side. I just parked it because you never know, some of that content may be useful later, who knows. But I had to sit down and figure out what I wanted to say here today. And not everything made it still. Money still has a purpose. I still have commitments. I still have systems that are useful. Things were prepared. I saw what actually runs smooth. I rolled up my sleeves. I put in the work. So what requires information I don't have yet? My next travel timeline, because nothing has changed. I still love to travel. Plans change. Things happen. My timeline is just different now. I don't have to solve the information I don't have. I don't have to try to figure out, blah, 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 blah. You know, we make up all this stuff. I don't have to figure that out. I'm protecting my energy from the frantic, from the crazy. Because you know how we can get there and go there. Because once you stop doing that, you can be clear to plan the next thing. You don't have to have all the answers right here of what I'm going to do next. I had so much fun planning those videos, I'll tell you though. From the earrings to the bracelets, because I like earrings and bracelets and necklaces and a change to have my little wardrobe, all my different little outfits I planned out. It gave me so much confidence because I've needed that in this midlife stage, how my body has changed, it's changing and things, just being confident in my skin. And that brought a new sense of confidence. And it didn't die because the trip was postponed. I still feel that confidence. And it's like, that's something that's going to carry me through. It's going to help me as we maneuver through this next chapter. So this was a test within the test. I thought the test was, can I go to Egypt? But I can actually organize my life around the kind of freedom I've been saying I wanted. I saw that I can do that. I created systems for my business. I created content continuity. I prepared my finances. I arranged responsibilities. I prepared my technology. I dealt with my home life. I pushed my communication skills. I learned that I should be systemized. I learned what shouldn't be scheduled too far ahead. Yes. I protect my money. I protected my newly available time. I thought I needed to get on the plane to find out whether I was capable of building a more portable life. But preparing to leave had already tested a lot of it. That's it. So, did I waste all that work? Nope. I did not. Not everything was necessary, but it was necessary for my growth. I can organize my life around something I genuinely want. I can save toward a goal. I can resist immediately spending the money when the reward gets delayed. I can build systems into a one-person business. I can create more than I thought I could. I can recognize when a system works but isn't ideal. I can protect open time. I can operate without knowing every step. I can adjust. I can be disappointed without interpreting the disruption as a personal failure. I won't allow myself to feel defeated because this isn't a defeat. It's a change. Plans change. The evidence didn't. I didn't know the next date. I don't know the next date. I don't know what exactly is going to happen next. But I'm not starting over. I'm not starting over. So, question for you. Have you ever invested a lot of time, money, or energy preparing for something, and then the plan changed? When you looked back at what you'd already done, what did you realize you were still able to keep? And if you feel led to do so, please share that in the comments. If you're navigating your own next chapter and figuring out what deserves more time, energy, and talents, subscribe to the Midlife Time Traveler. Until next time, while you have the day, make the most of today. Bye for now.